What is up, guys? Tom Wilkins here, and today I have a review on the brand new 2026 Diecast Scruffy. Now, my Tootly Thomas order of the new Wave 2 singles finally came today, and I have some thoughts, I have to say, now that I have them all on hand and in person. And I thought the one I wanted to cover first of this entire batch was Scruffy, because he is probably the most interesting one of this wave. Because Scruffy as a character has not been in the show since 1995. And yet in 2026, he's not only coming back in the motorized and diecast ranges, but he seems to be a major player, which I never would have expected from this franchise again. Now, Scruffy has had toys in the 2000s, and his most recent toy was, I think, a wood pack with Ryan, but I could be wrong, from 2017/2018. So yeah, he's had toys before from Mattel, but he's never really been pushed this much. So I thought of this entire wave, he was definitely the one I wanted to look at first, because Wave 2 is definitely very interesting. We have some very interesting characters to cover, but I thought Scruffy was the one I wanted to cover first. So anyway, take a look at his CGI model there. It's definitely a new model with a new face, and that face looks pretty good in my opinion. I think his face is a bit large considering how like rectangular it used to be, but I definitely look at this and think evil truck. That is a good scruffy face. And then you take a look at the back here, you can see the rest of the singles in Wave 2 from Whiff all the way up to Scruffy. I think I might be going back in like reverse order with these because I'm starting with Scruffy and then I'm probably going to end with Whiff. Whereas if I was going in order, I would have started with Whiff and ended with Scruffy. But I think, like I said, they kind of go in order of how interesting they are, in my opinion, like reverse order. So, yeah. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and take Scruffy out of the packaging. Now, so far, like I said, these guys have not been found anywhere else in the UK, like at Smith's, for example. These have just all come off Toothley Thomas. However, Smith's does now have the Toby and Henrietta pack, which is very interesting. So I've ordered a couple of those, and those should be with me shortly. But anyway, here is Scruffy out of the box, and let's take a closer look. And here is Scruffy out of the box, and I must say I am a big fan of this model. First thing I want to touch on is the face. This is definitely one of the best 2026 face designs I've seen from this new show so far. Now, to be fair, we don't really have an idea of what Scruffy's face would have been in CGI because, well, he never was in CGI, and all his toys only use classic faces. But this face definitely looks like the classic angry Scruffy face translated onto a CGI model. And they've definitely captured his likeness a lot better than some other characters. I mean, this guy looks better than James does. And James has been in the franchise for God knows how long, so that's definitely saying something. I think on the toy, it doesn't look as obnoxiously large as it does on his picture on the box. It's I'm a big fan of the way that they've done his smile. He's got the gappy, toothy frown, which I know on Salty they don't seem to have made his smile like gappy anymore. Like he doesn't have his buck teeth on the bottom of his jaw anymore. Whereas Scruffy, they've definitely gone out of their way to make sure he still has a gap in his teeth, which I really appreciate. He's definitely about the same weight as the other troublesome trucks. Actually, I've just felt the other one. He's ever so slightly lighter. I'll just move the camera there. He's ever so slightly, excuse me, heavier than the other ones. And I wonder if that's just because of the fact he's got some extra molding on his side. Speaking of that, we'll have a quick look at the text on the side. Now, I find this very interesting that they've kept all of Scruffy's text. You can see clearly it says S.C.Ruffy & Co. Ballast Contractors, Tidmouth, Sodor, which I'm very glad to see that all kept. But what confuses me is that they've gone out of their way to make all of the characters that had their names written on their sides, they've changed it so that they don't have their names on anymore. So like Mavis doesn't have a name anymore, she has a number. Charlie doesn't have their name, it's NWR on the nameplate. And then Hero has a number on his nameplate, even though he still has his number on his tender. So it's very confusing to me that they let Scruffy keep all of his. And I guess they looked at this and thought, well, S.C.Ruffy & Co., that's the actual name of the company, and Scruffy's just his nickname, so we'll let him keep all of it because it would look naked without it. But I just, like, I appreciate that they've kept all of it, but it makes him look a bit inconsistent with the other ones because he has lots of text on his side and the other characters don't have any. Um, Speaking of which, anyway, he does have some orange, well, not really orange, some brown painted frames on his side, which I have painted the frames on my yellow troublesome truck black, but they did not. It did not come like this. So the fact they've done it on his sides here shows a little bit more effort in this toy than the other ones. He doesn't have it on his back or on his front, unfortunately, which we know he is supposed to have thanks to his card. You can see there he is supposed to have his frames painted there, but it's not a big deal. His wheels, for some reason, because of the fact that Scruffy toys tend to use orange on the bottoms, like on the frames, like the Ertl one, for example, was all orange on the bottom half, and then the wooden railway toy from 2004. I don't know what year the second version of Scruffy came out, but that version had orange wheels, which was supposed to represent rust. And because he has grey wheels, it doesn't look off-putting, but I definitely I would have preferred maybe if they'd given him like orange wheels, like burnt orange wheels. Because I think without that, there's just not much of a contrast between his colour and himself. I mean, he's just a truck, really. He's not supposed to like stick out that much. But I think a bit more colour variety would have been appreciated because he does look like a bit of a grey blob otherwise. But still, it's a very nice colour scheme with Scruffy. His light greyish blue and then the brown frames. It's a very eye-catching, despite not being like a flashy colour scheme. Now, like I said, he seems to be the same truck mold as the yellow troublesome truck, just retooled with space for a larger face and then with this on the side. So I think it is probably good if you wanted to buy multiple Scruffies, you could do, because well, I think Scruffy is supposed to be like one of multiple trucks from this company, this ballast company. So I would highly recommend getting multiple of Scruffy, frankly, because as well, the face, you could take this off and use it for other things. It's definitely one of the better faces from the 2026 range, and I'm just going to compare Scruffy now to the yellow troublesome truck we have, and then this hasn't been officially released, but I recently made a custom of the yellow troublesome truck in grey, just to have an idea of what a grey truck would look like in this range, because we do have a grey truck in the motorized range that comes with diesel, I believe, but we don't have one in the diecast range yet. We have a red one coming soon with diesel with a new face, which looks amazing, but so far we only have these two trucks. Then we have a green truck in one of the Animal Park sets, and I think the yellow one comes in the Animal Park set with Edward, the multi-pack, I think. But yeah, so far we've had a pretty good range of troublesome trucks, so I am very happy to see Scruffy in this new range so early, because he's been released so early. I do think he's going to be possibly the main villain in the show, which would be pretty amazing in my opinion. I would love to see Scruffy get a major role in the show, because he really has been such a niche character and has only really been kept around for merchandise. So the fact that they've actually chosen to do something with Scruffy shows me that this new team definitely has some classic-esque plans for the new show. They're taking characters that haven't been used in years and they're saying, let's do something new and exciting with them. So that fills me with a lot of hope. So I'm definitely very pleased with this new Scruffy toy. Like I said, he hasn't been released mainstream yet, as far as I'm aware, in the UK, but as soon as you do see him, I absolutely recommend you pick him up. If you're going to pick anyone up from this new wave, and like say for example you were going to pick a couple of characters, Scruffy definitely needs to be on that list, because I just think he works. I think the best way to describe Scruffy in this range is he just works. He looks right, he feels right, he's just completely right, and I don't really have any major complaints. The only complaints I have are nitpicks. And if I'm just nitpicking it, then that means I still love it. I just see what they could have done better. But I think, yeah, this is a fantastic toy, and I'm very excited to see what they do with Scruffy in the show. So, yeah, as soon as these guys become available in the UK and other countries, go out and get him as soon as you can. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say for Scruffy, so I shall see you guys next time for whoever we will be reviewing next. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.